Now you said you watched 2 hours and 22 minutes of it. I watched all 2 hours and 55 minutes and 20 seconds, even the commercials, even the DraftKings commercials, all of the.
I know, right? All of them. It's weird that this thing is brought to us by gambling. I still don't know how to feel about this.
I don't feel good about it, but I was like, fast forward. Fast forward. Damn it. Got me out here. All right. So I was enthralled in most of the things we had heard before. Mm-hmm. But what I appreciated about this moment that we're in, whether it's Katt Williams and now Monique and others, is that I think we should stop lying about people, number one, meaning that, we know a truth, but we all are like agreeing to the lie. Mm-hmm. And we should also stop putting human beings on pedestals. Mm-hmm. Just because we like what people do does not make them infallible or perfect. And when you pedestalize people, some of them buy into being on that pedestal, mm-hmm. and they think that they can't be checked. Mm-hmm. And we all are flawed. So to me, if the message is anything, own your ish, apologize where appropriate, apologize for the things you've done, and make amends. If you did somebody wrong, make amends, and we can move on. Prime example, I'm not going to play the clip, but she mentioned Lee Daniels. Mm-hmm. Now, during this whole thing, because I interviewed Monique during when it first came out, because she didn't go to the Oscars, to Cannes and all the cons or whatever, didn't go promote overseas for free. Mm-hmm. And then she got labeled and whitelisted, and it was just crazy. And I remember having this conversation, and I thought she was right always, right? I was never somebody saying Monique should just take whatever. Then the Netflix thing, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's a queen of comedy. If you're throwing out money to people, I don't know who's listening to Amy Schumer, but yeah, she's not 1/26 less than Amy Schumer. Like, stop playing in our faces. This is ridiculous. So I was always like, yes, Monique has a point. Now, as she was laying this out, it was Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey. That was the three-headed monster that kept her. Doing? Hey, Oprah. We're gonna get to you in a second. Now, just hold your horses. But I was like, when Lee Daniels, what was a couple of years ago, came out on stage with his ass out because his pants was falling down and apologized publicly. I was like, "What, man? Put a belt on. I want to see your ass."
It was a weird apology, but he did apologize.
And put her in the next film.
Yeah, they worked together after that.
Yes, and apologize to her children, because here's the thing, what she was fighting was the perception, and perception becomes reality, particularly in Hollywood. And I'm somebody that has had this happen to them. So I'm not speaking out of the left side of my ass. Right. And one of the people that she mentioned did it to me. So I was like, that's a true story, because that's exactly what happened. So as I was sitting there, I was like, yes, they cost her a lot of money. Mm-hmm. They cost her a lot of money. Now, some could argue if she had just kept her mouth closed, she would have gotten just keep your mouth closed. Just do the thing. Why you gotta fight with these people? Just do the thing. It's so much easier just to go along. Right. But if people keep doing that, then nobody ever stands up for anything. Then the abuse keeps happening, because the billionaires at the top of that, Oprah and Tyler, they're not taking shorts. I mean, Tyler Perry got mad at me when I was like, listen, I support you no matter what. And and he was mad because I was like, your stuff is not all that good. And then he broke down the math. And I can respect that too. You do these movies with the lowest possible budget so you can make the most possible money, so you can do the most things that you want to do. I'm not mad at that. I appreciate the math. But don't play in our faces and tell us it's great, or that you treat people well per se across the board. Now, you reach more Black millionaires. We're going to applaud that, because that's important. What happened in Atlanta transformed the whole industry. Love that. I love that the whole studio is there. Black Panther. I mean, it's beautiful. Right. But we need to be able to tell the truth, and nobody is perfect. So let's talk. What when the 2 hours and 20 something minutes that you watched, what did you come away with?
So one thing for sure with like a Tyler Perry and an Oprah, they're not as you're not as good as just the people you treat well, and you're not as bad as just the people you treat bad. And we're always hearing about the people that are treated well, right? That's the good PR. That's the people you want us to know about. But then it's always somebody, because you interact with way too many people for everybody to walk away like, man, that was great. And so I think Monique is a person that is willing to tell that truth and name names in a way that nobody else will. Like the thing she said at the beginning was so important, which was most people talk about having bad experiences, but in this industry, the unwritten rule is you can't say that person's name. So you could be like, I had a director once on a shoot that made me do this and it was very uncomfortable. You can say that. But if you come out and say, I had a director and his name is blank, then all of a sudden people are like, what you trying to do? You trying not to work in this industry? And so I guess she's never really seemed to believe in that. And with her having her husband as her manager and all this other stuff, he seemed to be the type of person that's like, the most important thing is having your back. And the way that he shows up to protect her is by being like, whatever you want, whatever the treatment is, you feel like you deserve, that's what I'm gonna go out and get. And so when I hear difficult to work with, I don't think of it as like she was doing it. We don't have no stories about her acting up on set. We have no stories about her being anything less than professional. We have no stories about her being untalented, unprofessional, unprepared, none of that stuff. But it sounds like the business end is what people are like, nah, the contract should be like this, or the industry standard is blank, and you won't accept it. And now you're difficult. You know, and I think difficult for a Black woman is a death knell compared to other people. So like, we know there's tons of difficult. I mean, shit, there's stories coming out about Jonathan Majors today. Like, and he was working for a long time until that case, right? He was working for a long time with people being like, he is hard to work with on set, but this is what he needs to do to tap into his talent. I can't even go over all the white actors. The list is too long of just diva stories and stuff. So I do think like that's where her point lies within this like idea of like, I stood up for myself and I got castigated for it, as opposed to being like, you go your way, you go mine. I think it really showed that I see how she would be so hurt over if everything went the way she said. Tyler Perry literally hugging her and seeming like, we cool, we just have a disagreement, but it's fine. And then years later being like, yeah, I have been telling people that you're hard to work with or not to work with you. That would feel like a huge betrayal. And I get the anger.
And can we, and not just the anger, because I'm not going to label Monique angry just because the world will. And I'm watching the difference in the way people are responding to Katt Williams versus Monique. And the only difference is Monique is a Black woman. That's the only difference. And she's doing it even nicer. She was like, I love these people. I'm just, like her tone was even more dulcet than Katt.
Yeah, I'm always of the mind of, I would love, we'll probably never get to hear it, but I would love for these other people to come forward. Even if you just want to give your side, I'm not telling you got to agree with her. I only know her side because she's the only one want to talk about it. Y'all be quiet and just make y'all money and just don't even address it. And I guess that's what's working for you. I'm not, but I would love for somebody to come out and be like, yeah, this is how I feel about it. Or maybe this is what she did. Maybe this is what the problem is, but we'll never know because they don't want to talk about it. So we just got to roll like, I guess she the one that's right,
And much like the Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion, whatever that was, I don't even know what it was a couple of weeks ago that we're not even talking about anymore. Thank God. Right. The ones that are silent are relying on us to fight their battle. Right. So my question to you is, you don't know these people,
right?
You know Tyler and Oprah Winfrey personally. You might
I don't know them.
Like the thing. So you fighting so hard to defend somebody that you have no clue about how they actually move in the world.
The thing for me is, I try to exist in the idea of like, because I'm not a celebrity worship person. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I just never been. Like, even when I was a kid, I always say my father and my mom, those was my celebrities, the people but the role models, people I looked up to. Everybody else is a stranger that's real good at something, right? Michael Jordan is a stranger that's real good at something. He ain't raised me. Bill Cosby didn't raise me. I had a daddy in my house that was raising me. So I think my level of disappointment in people is like, it's hard to disappoint me because I'm like, okay, so I guess you're a bad person. Cool. But at the same time, I would like for people to be nice, and I understand people are human and people have conflicts, and more than likely everyone got their version of the story, right? You sit down with one person and I got people in my family that's beefing. One sit down with me and they tell me what everything went wrong. I'm like, okay, I can see how you feel that way. And the other person tell me and I'm like, and I can see how you feel that way. Hope y'all worked it out. You know what I mean? But I can see how y'all got there. When somebody is out there obviously hurt, and I'm not using these terms to belittle or dismiss. I think these are human emotions. What happens is they're loaded terms. So I think if you're people like if you say somebody's bitter, but if you did something to make me bitter, then I'm gonna be bitter. What? How that's on me? Oh, you're angry. You did some angry and stuff to me. You know what I mean? If I'm hurt, if I'm sad, and the thing that stuck out to me is when she talked about her family and the trauma she experienced as a child. To me, that's a person that hasn't been protected by the people that were supposed to protect them, that didn't live up to those promises. And so we don't always know people's trauma that they coming in the door with. We just assuming whatever we good with, they good with. We don't know them. And
That's
so
right.
the same thing that could have happened to 99 people, and they would have been like, I guess I got to go do this unpaid labor. That person gonna be like, nah, promises were made. And I've made a choice that I'm never going to be hurt in that way again by people. I don't trust you. And I'm not going to do this. And I'm standing flat footed and I'm telling you to your face. And I think if you don't take the time to know people's language like that and know their history, you're going to end up hurting people like that. And I think her husband situation seems to be one where no matter what people feel about it, that man in her mind protects her. That's his number one job is I'm going to make sure she's okay. And so however that plays out, where it comes to like, oh, these contracts or why she got to want something different than everybody else, that's the protection she needs in order to be Monique. And so I think that's where, to me, that's what I took away from the interview.
I love how you assess, and it's like your emotional quotient is so high. Roderick Morrow is here, the black guy who tips. No, for real. And I wish more people had it because you were able to go through it. What I listened to was a lot of hurt too.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to express that. You hurt me. I'm telling you, you hurt me. Kudos to Lee Daniels for finally saying, I am sorry for doing that and apologizing to her family.
And that's what gave me,
like she said, now I could work with you.
Honest to God, like that made me look at her so much different. Like the clips, I think the clips online are so out of context. And then they don't even show the part where she's like, I still love you and I want you. Like they just show the part where she's like, F this person. And it's like, oh, and then everybody want to be messy. I get it. We're human. We want to be like, oh, F this person. I hate them too now. But the thing that with that Lee Daniels clip, that hit home to me because it was really like, if y'all would just address it, I'm keeping my word. I'll let it go. Like we just need just be a person of your word with some integrity and I'm good. And I think once you do that, I don't know, man. I felt totally different. I do understand D.L. Hughley feeling away. I do remember that situation and some of the stuff that happened with his daughter and stuff. I can see why he would still be taking stuff personal. I'm not trying to dismiss his feelings. But for some of these folks, I really feel like, I don't know. I'm not them, but it seemed like it would be easy to just squash the stuff for real. And just get out of her way and just make it right if that's all she want. But maybe they got a version of the story that we don't know.
Well, we won't know it unless and like she said, she'll come back and sit on the couch. If and that's the other thing. I think you're absolutely right, Roger. We all have in our mind that we're right.
Yeah.
So we got a version of the story where we're right, and we have to. I think we have to tell that story to ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is why, mediation is important. You know what I'm saying? Having a neutral party there to listen to both. That's why we have courts and judges and things, because you need to hear all sides and then somebody makes a determination about what's right and wrong. But in your heart, and it's just, to me, it's just plain as black and white, 866-801-8255. And when it comes to friendship, so she calls Kevin Hart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play this clip because to me, y'all, listen, some of this is performance, like we live in a world, it's Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a relationship with somebody and because people aren't messing with them, you're not like, what kind of friend, it's like, oh, now I'm the not the cut creator, but I will cut people off in a minute because I have very, very specific and definitive standards about how you're going to engage with me. Right. And, and I don't tolerate disloyalty and a lot of I'm not tolerating that. I don't have it in my life. I don't play footsies with stuff like that. It is very clear, but I'm gonna let you know up front. And then I will never talk to you again. And I don't hate you, but just there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
And I don't trust you. So once the trust is gone, there will not be any relationship, because what's the point? Why are we smiling in each other's faces pretending?
Right.
Like, that to me doesn't make any sense. 866-801. I'm talking about my personal life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that. But this Kevin Hart seemed personal. Seemed very personal. Seemed like they had a relationship. Play clip 4, Smiz.
Kevin Hart, I do his podcast.
Yes.
And I want y'all to re-listen to the podcast so you can hear it for yourself. When he first comes on, he says, "You're like my mother. You're like my aunt. You're like my sister." Okay? Then we do the podcast. We speak about the Tyler Perry situation. Oprah Winfrey, he said, "I don't really know Oprah, but I'm going to reach out to Tyler." Appreciate that. Kevin kept his word. He reached out to Tyler Perry. Kevin Hart called me back about maybe a week or so later. He said, "Mo, I talked to Tyler. He said he don't want to revisit it. He said, but I tell you what, let's move past that, Mo. Let's just move past that and let's just do great things. So whatever."
That's what Kevin said.
I want you to hear me, Kevin Hart. Let's move past that, Mo. Let's do some great things together. Don't even worry about it. Whatever y'all want to do, I will partner with you. I'll executive produce with you. You just let me know what you want to do. Now, let me say that before we go any further, because I want to make sure I give Kevin Hart his proper credit. When my family was up against the wall, Kevin Hart wrote us a check and said, "Here you go." We're forever grateful for that. When we were able to give it back, we said, "Brother, we appreciate you," with some interest on top, because I don't ever want nobody to think
Feel like they
me and my
gave
husband. So I want to make sure I put that out there. That brother really helped us out when we needed to be helped out. Then when he came back with, "I got you," I didn't ask Kevin Hart to do anything. He said, "I'll executive produce, I'll partner with you." I said, "Good shit, Kevin," because we're in a deal with Endemol and we're trying to get our talk show back. Mo, whatever it is, I got you. Now, Kevin Hart is one of the biggest entertainers right now in the world,
Correct.
right? And was then. We got off the phone with Kevin Hart. We called Endemol immediately and said, Kevin Hart said, whatever we want to do, he got us. He's going to partner, executive produce. They was like, "Oh, this is incredible," because when you put Kevin Hart name on it, you already know what it is.
Correct.
2 weeks go by. We get a call from Endemol. Endemol says, "We just got a call from Kevin Hart's manager, Dave Becky." And Dave Becky said, "Kevin doesn't want anything to do with Monique. So whatever she told y'all, he doesn't want to do anything with her, nothing. You know, he doesn't want any kind of relationship with Monique."
So what changed between the 2 weeks and plus he gave you a check, you gave the money back, then said he would partner with you, executive produce, whatever you need, Mo, hey, we got you. So what transpired, or what do you think transpired between then that 2 week period?
Well, soon as we got off the phone and they told us what Kevin's manager, David Becky, said, I called Kevin Hart immediately. I said, "Hey, baby, we just got off the phone with Endemol, and they said Dave Becky called them up and said, you don't want anything to do with me." He said, "Mo, that's a miscommunication. I can tell you right now." I said, "Wait a minute. Are you okay, though, with this white man calling them up? Getting in between our relationship after something you said?" He said, "Mo, that's a miscommunication, and we're going to talk Tuesday. Don't worry about it. I'm telling you right now, it's a miscommunication." That was 2 years ago. If you talk to him, I talk to him. I've never talked back to Kevin Hart again.
866-801-8255. We're going to talk more. Roderick Morrow is here. When I listened to that clip, Roderick, again, this is not about taking sides. This is blah, 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 blah. What I see is a disloyal person who is not your friend, you know, and I'm not going to get into his first wife or his second wife who was pregnant. I'm not getting, but there's a pattern of behavior of disloyalty that, you know, Monique in that moment is hurt because we just talked. I'm your auntie, your mom, your sister. And then you let a white man call and tell me that you don't want anything to do with me.
It's also like going back to, it's a betrayal, right? A dude that told her that you family to me, you know, not knowing her relationship with family different than some people's relationship with family. So family can be just a word, you know what I mean? It's your actions that show if you real family. You made a promise, because he didn't have to make that promise, right? He wrote her that check. She, you know, they paid him back, you know, all that stuff. He said he was going to talk to Tyler. It seems that he did, even if Tyler didn't want to hear it. And then you made that promise, "Oh, we're going to get you da-da-da." And if everything she's saying is correct, you reneged on a promise that you made. The next thing she knows is that you folded on that. So Yeah, I like I said, I know people are upset because she's saying names and being specific, but if we being honest, dog, if she would have said nobody's name, y'all would have been like, why you didn't say the names? Like you can't win when
like
you're
Christian
talking about
Keys.
this.
It's like we
Right.
still waiting. When's the next video? All right.
Right.
It's messy.